Hey, listen!
Welcome everyone, this is Andres Restart, and I wasn't sure I was going to make this video, but here I am making this video, and let me make something clear. We are talking about the Tears of the Kingdom leak situation. We're not talking about the contents of the leaks. There will be no spoilers in this video, or any video on this channel leading up to release. That will not happen. Why? Because one, I don't think it's fair for those who do not want to be spoiled. But also two, I don't want to be spoiled. So I am not going to be taking a look at the leaks. I want this game to be appreciated in the way Nintendo intended. And that's really the sticking point for me here. I think it's unfortunate the game has leaked because Nintendo has fought so hard to control the messaging on this game. And here the game has been leaked, ruining all of those efforts. But despite that, I still think Tears of the Kingdom is going to go down as one of the greatest games ever. But before we jump to things, let me point out that we are aiming to hit 25,000 subscribers by the time Tears of the Kingdom comes out on May 12th. So if you do enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, because then we might just make it. So if you don't know what happened, let me explain briefly here. Basically, the game got out there into the wild. Some distributors put it out there when they shouldn't have. Some venues, some online venues, took the game and started selling it at a higher price illegally, and some people got their hands on the game. Some of those people started to stream the game on different social media platforms, and those streams were taken down immediately. However, some people are still playing the game, and now there's been a ROM dump, it's been data mined, and people are learning about the game extensively. This situation, unfortunately, was pretty much inevitable. This seems to happen every time there's a major release, but I find it really unfortunate, especially in the case for Tears of the Kingdom, because Nintendo has gone through all levels of effort to control the messaging on this game, to really keep things under wraps, in secret, and leaving a lot to surprise us when we finally get the game. And here, people are just streaming the game, talking about it, when it's illegal to do so. And that, to me, is unfortunate. And I'm not trying to tell you what you should do. You're entitled to look up and search whatever you want. I'm not going to stop you. I can't stop you. And I also understand how exciting it may be to get more information on the game. It's not like we don't talk about rumors and leaks on the channel. We do that all the time. But I think it's different when it's something about the game that doesn't tell us everything. That's just a little detail that's up for debate, that's months or years in advance. When it's a straight up data mine of the entire game, the contents of the game, there's no debate there, there's no speculation there, that's the game, there you go, and the messaging for it wasn't from Nintendo, it was from a rip of the game by someone who shouldn't be talking about the game, at least not legally. So to me, that kind of leak just kind of ruins the experience. If you've paid attention to the channel over the years, whenever we talk about Pokemon, we'll talk about rumors and things like that and the occasional leak that seems to be valid. But when it comes to the game about to come out a week or two before it comes out, and then when there's the inevitable leak of the game and the massive data mine, I don't really make a video on that. Not really. That's not really the goal. I try not to do that. It's just not as fun for me. I'm always disappointed when the leaks happen because I want to go into these experiences and be surprised. It's one thing if I figured out some stuff. That's cool. It's another if I have an idea of some things going on. But to know the full content of the entire situation, that just isn't fun for me. And it's not what the companies want for their games. You have hundreds of people working on these games for years, and they want it to be a special experience for their fans, for the players. And then when this information gets out there, it ruins a lot of that experience. Not for everyone. That's why we fight against spoilers. That's why there won't be spoilers discussed in this video. And that's why Nintendo will go through all lengths and efforts to remove these live streams or things like this because it ruins the experience. Nintendo wants the experience of Tears of the Kingdom to be as ideal and as amazing as it can be. And let me tell you, I believe full-heartedly that Tears of the Kingdom is going to be an amazing experience. I think it's going to go down as one of the greatest games of all time. Does that sound like hyperbole? Perhaps. It may sound like hyperbole, but I think when you put things into perspective, it really shouldn't come as any surprise. Breath of the Wild is already heralded as one of the greatest games of all time. So a direct sequel made by the same team that historically has always released Game of the Year candidate kinds of games and has put more time into this game than any other previous Zelda, including Breath of the Wild. And on top of that, they are building upon Breath of the Wild as a base, learning from Breath of the Wild, taking in fan input, and using all the experience they have of Switch hardware. This game has everything going for it to improve upon already one of the greatest games of all time. And if there's any debate about Breath of the Wild being one of the greatest games of all time, let me say this. One, you're entitled to your opinion. It doesn't have to be the greatest game of all time for you, but across the board, Breath of the Wild is the highest rated game on Nintendo Switch. And Nintendo Switch has had more games than any other Nintendo platform. The rate of release on Nintendo Switch is just astounding. Switch has sold more than any other console in the market today. It's insane. So for it to be the best rated game on the highest selling system that sells more games than any other system, that says a lot. Breath of the Wild won so many Game of the Year awards when it came out. It's astounding. So again, that all suggests that there is an extreme high likelihood that many people are going to think it's a pretty good game. That doesn't mean that Tears of the Kingdom is going to be the best game of all time for you, but for many, it may. Breath of the Wild is by far the best-selling Zelda game of all time, one of the best-selling games on Switch, and Tears of the Kingdom could surpass that. When you think about the abilities that they've provided in Tears of the Kingdom and how much options it offers for the gameplay, that might hit a whole other level of niche or market or audience, and that could push those Breath of the Wild level of sales to an even greater height, I think. Now, I know there's a lot of debate in terms of how well Tears of the Kingdom will sell. Many people just think that it will not do as well as Breath of the Wild, and it doesn't have to. But Splatoon 3, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, they caught up to their predecessors in just a few months, and those games have been out for years. Tears of the Kingdom, I don't see why it should perform any worse than Splatoon 3 or Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If those games have caught up to their predecessors, Tears of the Kingdom should as well. If anything, perhaps more so. They've put more time, more consideration into Tears of the Kingdom, and the hype for this game is unparalleled. This is going to be an amazing game, and I believe Nintendo is definitely holding back a lot about this game, so when we finally play it, there's an immeasurable amount of surprise. Have you noticed that Nintendo hasn't really told us anything about the story? It's been very cryptic. We have very little to go on. We knew more about the story for Breath of the Wild going in than we do for Tears of the Kingdom, and I think that's intentional. They don't want us to know how this is handled. Not because it's bad. I think with everything they've shown so far, I think they've shown that this game is going to be great. I think it's about that surprise, that mystery, and I think it's going to facilitate an amazing experience for Tears of the Kingdom. So I think that the spoiler situation, seeing information on the game in a way that Nintendo did not intend, can impact your experience, and that will differ from person to person. But I want the Zelda team and Nintendo to get this game out there, and I want most people to enjoy it as it's intended, because I think Nintendo's onto something with this game, and it's going to be a big, big deal. So yes, no discussions on spoilers, please. Avoid it. I think Nintendo's doing a good job of quelling the spoilers, but of course, some people are still going to talk about it regardless, so be careful. Anyways, this is Andres Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.